What's going on, everybody? Matt Malatesta here, Coach's Corner with Coach Greg Cranfill, St. Pius X. Amazing season. Y'all get to the regional finals last year. Just talk about that game. I know it didn't turn out how exactly that you wanted against, I believe, Prestonwood. Tough matchup. Just talk about that game. And I know you had got to prepare for a week. Just talk about, just what happened in the game.
Right. So the only thing I'd correct you on is the way, how it turned out.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about the final score, you're absolutely correct. But for me, we took a group of kids over there that were playing their best football of the year and went over there. And those guys, they played their guts out. There's no doubt, you and I talked before the game or before the matchup that Preston was one of the elite teams in the state, and we had played some elite teams and we knew what we were expecting, but our guys didn't flinch. We went over there and we played our guts out. So as a coaching staff, we look back and we go, we've talked about this. Success to me is when you look back and you go, did we get everything out of these guys that we possibly could, as individuals and as a team? And I think going down the roster, 100 out of 100%, you know what I mean? We could say that those kids gave everything they had for their school, for their team, and for the whole community of St. Pius. And for me, the ride home, yeah, I was upset that we lost on the scoreboard, but I knew what we had accomplished as a group and as a team this year is something that they're going to carry on for the rest of their lives. I can't say that for every team that I've ever coached. And that stings, because those guys, I wish we had more time with. But these guys, knowing that, from the first time that we had, the 2-a-days practice and the lock-in and the team meetings and those moments that we created, all culminated for what we would consider a successful season. To see those kids after the game, teared up. And for some, I always tell them, don't you dare not give everything that you have and then cry unless you're crying after that game because you feel sorry for how you performed. But these guys, I think they deserve that moment. You know what I mean? Because they had done everything that they could to prepare to win and to be a championship football team. And back-to-back regional finals the last 2 years, I would say that this senior class stands as one of those that I'll remember forever. So,
and that's what's kind of cool, because all coaches are candid, and they'll tell you, maybe this wasn't, our year, our group of guys. But all season long, the theme that you kept saying is, hey, we love coaching these guys. They're very coachable, and they're just going to be great kids and young men as they move on, and that's what, that's what's so cool about coaching is you get to see these classes come in and how they've developed over the years.
Right. And anytime that I go through an interview process, I tell the committee that, let's be realistic. Parents want to win. There's no doubt. That's why they fill the stands up. But there's two main things that they want. They want to know that their kids are given opportunities to be successful, and they want to know that their kids are protected and safe. And that when they turn their kids over to a group of coaches, that they're going to be better than when they handed them to those coaches. And I've told you from day one that Coach Jeff Feller, our athletic director, our high school principal, Rachel Ware, and our head of school, Mr. Bates, have allowed me the opportunity to put a staff together of men that have the ability to push forward the culture of our program. Because see, culture is not what you say. The culture of your program is what you do. And we have a bunch of people that are doers instead of people that just talk about it. And I think that's the key. I think as a parent, when I look into our program, that's what I want. You and I have talked. I've got an eighth grade son that's about to be in a high school program. And what do I want for him? I want the same things for him that we're providing our kids. And I hope as a parent, you can look back and you'll say, man, our kids are coached hard. I mean, it's not easy. It's not sunshine and rainbows going through the St. Pius program, but everything that those coaches do are to benefit and increase the value of our kids' lives. And I think at the end of it, when they look back, they go, okay, that makes sense, and that's all we want. You look at our senior class: Josh Mitchell, Nathan Alvarez, Chase Stepp, Ethan McMahon, Jake Lozano, just to name just a couple. Easton Dean, I could go down. Alex Glass, all those guys, from where they started to where they are right now, I think they get, I don't know if hungry is the word, but they just want more, because they're just feeling that feeling of, now I'm getting the idea. Early on in the season and early in your career, a lot of the coaching that you take, you see as a negative. You see as somebody, basically knocking me down. As you get older and mature, you start realizing, wait, they're not knocking me down. They're building me up. And once you get that in your head, and great players love to be coached. And I think that's what we have. We have a huge amount of kids that are great football players that want to be coached, that want to be told, this is how I am going to be better. And that's why you see so many of our guys wanting to play at the next level. I think for me, that's the biggest compliment that I can have as a head coach, is that the high school is a stepping stone in getting them to where they want to go. If a kid goes, you know what, I'm burned out, I'm done, I don't want to play anymore, then I think, man, did I do something? Did our staff do something to make these kids lose the love of a sport? But with this senior class, it's completely opposite. We've got kids that are going, coach, I want more. I want more. And that makes me so happy, and A, because they're pretty good and they can go do it, and B, because they're doing it academically as well. And that's just an exciting time for us. So as a coaching staff, that's our next step. It's to go and start making many more phone calls than we've already making, sending the emails out, and trying to get these kids in positions where they can continue their career if they want.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. Most
Yeah.
memorable moment of the year. What was the most memorable moment?
Golly, yeah, you're talking about a hot seat, man.
I know.
I don't know. I would probably say the Preston's 55-yard field goal will stay with me, just because of the fact, it set a school record, and because you're talking about a kid that did not play football, and we kind of had to, encourage him, hey man, you can be good at this, and you can do well at this because of your work ethic and because of your character, and just to see the success that he has had, not because don't get me wrong, he's a very talented kid, but that kid works his tail off to perfect his craft, and he's done that. Man, there's a bunch of stories right, just like that with each one of those seniors. Nathan Alvarez, who did not play football, and he and I can still remember our conversation. That would be a success. At the end of his sophomore year, that would be a huge success story for me. Seeing Easton Dean walk into our building, and seeing Cameron Brown walk into our building. Josh Mitchell, who almost had a career-ending injury at the end of his junior year, who had to go through what he did and to come back and rush for over 1,100 yards. There's a tremendous amount of great things that have happened for this team, and it's good that I'll always remember each one of them and their stories that go with it.
It's cool. It's not so much about the wins and losses. It's just the ride that y'all were on.
Sure.
It's super cool that we'll never know all of the great stories that, those kids will remember forever. All right. Most surprising player on offense.
Most surprising player on offense. Well, I don't know. Let me think. It can't be Nate Alvarez, because we knew he was a stud.
Right.
And it can't be Josh Mitchell, because we knew he was a stud, and both of those guys performed. Chase Stepp would be the same way. The growth of our offensive line was a huge point. But I would say the maturation of our quarterbacks, both Braxton Bias, who threw for over 1,200 yards, and then bringing Andrew Kirkland up as a true freshman, to run some of our Wildcat stuff. Those two guys would be, just how much they've grown and progressed over the course of the year. I think would be, one of the tops of that list. Both wide receivers, Alex Yearwood and Cam Brown, along with another freshman, Asai Peavy, proved out, to be very, very productive for us, game in and game out. At least, so there's a bunch. It's hard to pick. I can promise you that. So
how about on the defensive side of the ball? Yeah, it's a bunch of standouts over there.
Yeah, I mean, again, I would say it would start out with our linebackers. Jake Lozano, Sam Williams, Easton Dean, and Nick Woods. Nick Woods, who was a kid that always wanted to be great, and then finally figured out that he was going to commit himself to the weight room, and he did that and had probably one of the biggest jumps from a junior year to a senior year that anyone could have, and it's all earned. That kid, he busted his butt. And then on the back end, our secondary as a unit played tremendous. It's the most interceptions that we've had here in a long while, because of the kids trusted the process and understood what we were doing. And then I would say the job that Coach Singletary and Coach Nixon did with our front, backers and our defensive line, Joe Guzman, you got Nate Alvarez, who again playing both ways, and then you got CJ Fowler, and then you got a plethora of guys that we had to sprinkle in. Another freshman, Jordan Lucia, Chase Stepp actually stepped over and played some. So I don't know, man. It's going to be hard for a staff to pick, MVPs of our teams,
right.
But that's a good thing. It's not because we're going, oh, we don't know who to give it to. It's because we're going, man, there's so many guys that are deserving, because of because of the stories that each one of them went through, and then the job that they did week in and week out.
And finally, hey, I know it's early. Just give me the scouting report for 2024.
Yeah. So for us, it's going to be, I sent the coaches an email the other day. We replaced 8 on offense last year and 6 on defense, and made it back to the regional finals. So if you'd have told me, Greg, y'all can make it to the regional finals after replacing what you did, let me know. And this year it's going to be the same thing, because we've got a lot of seniors that are playing valuable minutes. It's going to be interesting what happens during this off season, in the fact of trying to replace people. You look at guys like Easton Dean, who started and played amazing at outside linebacker, but he also played some valuable snaps at running back. So when you're replacing one, you're not really replacing one, you're replacing 2. And Alex Yearwood and Cam Brown and Nate Alvarez and a bunch of those other guys, CJ Fowler, who played, both ways. So we've got to continue to develop, but then we look out on the field and we see 4 freshmen that are out there that are going to be a great nucleus of what we have coming back. You look at Sam Williams, who will be one of the top linebackers in the area that's coming back. So I'm excited about what we have coming back, but mainly because they were able to spend an entire year around these seniors that kind of taught them this is what it's going to take in order to handle some adversity. And I think that's what this season showed. You look at our record right now, 5 of those 6 teams that we played, one of them was in the regional finals and 4 of them are in the state semifinals.
Yeah.
So it's not like we were just, dropping games to people of no matter. We played some pretty tough people in our division. But that's what it's going to take, in order for us to continue to be where we want to be, and then even to take that next step, because that's what we've got to find a way to do. And I think it's going to depend on the commitment of these underclassmen on what they want to do. What do they want to leave their mark as? And if it's moving the notch, or turning the dial one more notch, a little higher, then we'll see that through their work during this offseason. As far as coaches, that's what we're going to attack each day. We're going to try to win every second that we're with these kids and give them those opportunities to close that gap.
Well, hey, congrats on another regional final this year. Man, just hearing your message week in and week out, it's super inspiring for the city of Houston and the state of Texas, as St. Pius X is in great hands. All right, Coach, until we meet again next year, this is Matt with VYPE. We'll see y'all at the games. Coach Greg Cranfill, this is the St. Pius X Coach's Corner. Coach, signing out.
Go Panthers.